Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hello and welcome to your. What face was that, Connor?
I'm just stretching my hands.
Hello and welcome to post-match reaction here on the Rangers Rabble podcast. And for the third reaction in a row, Connor, barring obviously your tiredness, it's going to be a fun one.
Yes, aye, it makes a change. I was saying that to Aaron before we come on. This will never catch on. This, Martin. This is unreal. But good to see that we're seemingly finding a wee bit of form. Especially coming into two massive games this week. Spurs and then obviously cup final against them. So it's going to be really tough games, but going into it in good form, so it just breeds a wee bit of confidence into you that you might otherwise not have had. Good to have a couple of wins to talk about for a change.
Well, Aaron, we could sit here and discuss the Spurs game and the Celtic game right now. That's now where everybody's focus is. The last three games have been good. It's been good to see us playing some nice football. It's been good to see the surgence, for lack of a better term. I was going to say resurgence, but that wouldn't be fair. Hamza Igamane, I thought he was excellent again. Czerny was a bit off it, but this is something that we've spoke about. You're not going to get all your players on it all the time, but you have to have other players to come in and help out when that doesn't happen. And I thought Jeffrey was excellent, Igamane was excellent, Danilo was excellent. I thought Tav had a really good game. Nico and Connor in the middle of the park, again, excellent. It was just an all-round, another Aaron, good performance.
It really was, and it's good to see Clement actually sticking with a system that's working for a change, because we've not seen that the whole time that he's been our manager. He's not stuck to a winning formula, and he's backing players that can actually give us performances like that week in, week out. You know, the days of sticking with Dessers and the days of sticking with Diomande at number 10 are hopefully done. And as I was saying to Connor just before we came on there, I can't help but feel, yes, I'm absolutely delighted that we've won, but I'm a bit frustrated that why it's taken so long for him to change the system. Why did we have to watch Dessers up front with Diomande as a number 10 for so long? Why didn't he change it sooner when this is what you get out of the other players? You know, Haji, outstanding again today. His consistency's on another level. Danilo as well. You know, and one thing that really got me today was the passion from Haji and Danilo. You know, when Danilo scored that goal, you could see it. You know, and that's what we're used to as Rangers fans, that unfortunately we haven't seen for a while now. We haven't seen that passion from the players. And Balogun, athleticism for a 40-year-old, you know, he was getting everything, throwing his body in the way, and we just don't see that defensively enough previously. So for me, Balogun has to stay fit, and he has to stay consistent, and he's a different world from Proper, to be honest. You know, Proper runs back when the attacks, you know, when the opposition are running towards him, he runs back with them. Balogun runs towards them and makes sure he gets that tackle.
Yeah, Balogun and Suter are particularly impressive. But Connor, I don't think we can actually give enough credit, right? And I take what Aaron's saying on board. Look, season has not started well. We are probably far too far away already to be even considered in a title challenge. We're still third in the league. So, you know, all those things are there, right? But after the Nice game, we said, oh, Nice were poor. They were easy to be got at. The Kilmarnock game, we said, oh, that's good, but we'll need to wait and see. We went up to Ross County, who, out with Aberdeen and Celtic, haven't lost up there, haven't lost at home. The pitch is an absolute disgrace. Right, the players were really struggling on that pitch corner. And first half, I thought we were excellent. The chances created, the goals that were scored. Second half, we weren't quite as on it, but we were still in complete control. So I think for the last three games, and especially this game at Ross County, I think the manager and the players all deserve an immense amount of credit.
Yeah, of course they do. You know, you have to give them a lot of credit for turning it around a wee bit. You know, because we've been heavily critical of them throughout the bulk of this season, and with good reason. You know, I'm still reticent to say that we've turned a corner or that we're back on board with come on. I think there's still a ways to go yet before that's the case. But
you have to give credit when it's due.
yeah, exactly. And they're doing what you have to do. I've said this before. The only way you can recover it and get people back on side is to keep winning games of football. And that's what we've been doing. I think is it 4 games, 14 goals scored, 1 conceded. I think somebody said in the comments there, and 3 clean sheets. You can't ask for much more than that, to be fair. And we're getting players back on form as well. You look at Tav, his performances in the last couple of weeks have been, brilliant compared to where he's been prior to that. Something seems to have lit a fire under him. Again, today, that's an absolute peachy goal that he's scored. I tend to agree actually with, I think it was Boydie when he was doing his analysis when Crocker and that was saying, it's a bit of vintage Tavernier here. I don't think I've seen him apply a finish like that very often. Like he's, he can ping one from the outside of the box, but he's caught that absolutely perfect on the outside of the boot.
I think, Connor, the issue being, and tell me if I'm wrong, right, is that I've criticised Tav a lot. You have. Aaron, we've not really delved too much into Tav with you, right? But I would imagine that the vast majority of the supporters criticised Tav and said Tav's time's up, his legs are gone, he's too slow. Which, by the way, I still believe could be the case. But again, Aaron, sorry, I was too busy watching the watch along. And by the way, a massive thank you to Alex and Trevor for doing the watch along for our members. But again, Aaron, you can only go in the game you're watching, and it did look a bit like the old Tav.
It's given him a bit of confidence having players that can play the ball. A big difference from me.
Do you think spending some time on the bench, Aaron's got something to do with it as well?
I think he's got something to prove, yeah. And I think as well, he was quite good at just hoofing balls forward. This long balls that we've been used to for the last few months. We're not seeing that so much now. That's one thing that has really stayed with me over the last few games. We're actually playing it from the back to the midfield to the final third. Yes, there was a lot of loose balls today, and I feel we could have done a lot more still in the final third, but I'm not being critical, but Tav having the confidence of having the quality of players in front of him that he has in Haji, Barron, Raskin, and even going, Cherney, okay, he didn't have his greatest game today, but we know what he's got in the tank. Igamane, all these players around Tav right now has just sparked a new Tav. Well, it's not even new Tav, it's just what we've expected of Tav over the years. That's back-to-back goals for Tav, for a guy that hasn't really scored, and I don't know how long it's been prior to his last one. But you know what I mean? He's bringing the old Tav. There is sparks of the old Tav appearing again, and consistency. Having Balogun there as well is a big change. Balogun and Suter seem to know exactly what each other are going to do, and they work really well together. So I think that brings Tav a little bit of confidence as well. But yeah, he was consistent. And when was the last time we could say that? So.
Well, absolutely. Like I say, look, folks, there's a few comments flying in. I'm not sitting here saying that, okay, that's us back. We'll beat Celtic and we'll beat Spurs and we're all good to go. Absolutely not, Connor. I'm not sitting here saying that at all. In fact, we could be having a much different conversation on Sunday to what we are having right now. Okay, I understand that and I get that. But if you don't look for the positives when they're there, Connor, what is the point?
Well, exactly. This is the thing. You have to be positive when it's there. We said this in midweek as well when we beat Kilmarnock 6-0, and there was still a couple of negatives coming in, and but it's this or it's look, at the end of the day, and I said it then and I'll say it now, we are taking each game as it comes.
Mhm.
And so far, in the last few games, we have hit a bit of good form. We've put 6 past Kilmarnock, we've went away to Nice, and I don't care how poor people want to say Nice were. Going away to anywhere in Europe, but particularly a team who hadn't lost a game at home since May as well, and putting 4 past them, should have been 5, even 6, could have been more, is still impressive. It's still a good performance, and typical of what we tend to do in Europe, to be fair. And then following that up by getting, admittedly, a very sticky win over St Johnstone, but a win nonetheless, and then doing what we've done in the last 2 games, you have to be looking a bit more positively on things. Yes, there's still things you can pick apart. Yes, there's still an element of, I think Bob said in the comments, teams getting, maybe a few more chances against us than we'd like, and you've got to be mindful of that when you're playing against better opposition that we will be in the coming week. But at the same time, and we're sitting here now, having done our jobs and got the wins, 2 points behind Aberdeen with a game in hand. By the time next weekend rolls round, that'll be 2 games in hand, and whatever the result ends up being, that gives us a massive opportunity to hop through them, get back into second at least, and then once you get, because I always think once you get into second and we get over Aberdeen, then we can start looking at, right, can we now start making a dent in Celtic, and we'll have opportunities to do that. We'll play them cup final aside, that's a cup game, but we'll play them, of course, at Ibrox in January. That's an opportunity there to claw back some points. That's all we can do. I'm not saying the league title is back on. I agree with what you said at the start of the show. But if we keep winning games and keep just doing what we need to do, then fine. That's all we can do at this stage. We can't control other people's results and what happens. We can only control ourselves. And so far, we've been doing it. And I think, to be fair to him, Aaron pointed out before we come on, why it took him so long, I don't know. But he's finally changed things up a little bit. Dessers isn't starting week in, week out. Igamane and Danilo seem to be forming a pretty good partnership up there. I've got to say, both playing quite well. Igamane again in the score sheet today, Danilo as well. And yes, okay, Danilo profits for a bad mistake for the keeper, but that's because Danilo kept chasing that ball down. That was a lost cause for all intents and purposes, and he still kept chasing it and waiting for that mistake. You've got to do that. That's a striker's instinct. Put a keeper under pressure, because if they make a mistake, chances are you will score. So these are the positives we've got to look at. And yes, there's other sides of it. I think Czerny, for example, there was a couple of times a day I felt he should have been hitting a shot and he wanted too many touches. If I'm being honest and I'm being critical, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with a bit of constructive criticism along the way, because there's still bits of improvements that are required.
Can I just say, Martin, your face is tripping you, man. This is my face. There's not really a lot I can do about it. That's if I sat here like this the whole time, then it would be sore. So it's just my face. It's just my face. Look, we're going to discuss some individual performances. We'll obviously go over the goals as well. But first of all, let's hear from the manager. Then he spoke to Rangers TV after today's. I'm reading this off Rangers Twitter, by the way. So I'm not this intelligent, but he spoke to Rangers TV today after the 3-0 win against Ross County.
Philippe, a 3-0 victory, another dominant performance from your team. What pleased you most about that one?
Yeah, the dominance, like you say, and the seriousness and maturity in all team, all squads, everybody also coming in, doing their job, doing the role, creating the chances, not giving away almost anything in this game. So, and also the support of the fans, they were brilliant today, all game long. But you see that the fans start to see the potential that is in this squad, how everybody wants to work, that we make less mistakes because we're playing longer together, and that's the way we need to go and continue in this way, keeping the seriousness also, to not become sloppy if you're leading, and give belief to opponents. And that's what the team did today. So it's a good reference game for the next couple of months, but we need to continue doing that.
The first goal obviously came quite early in the game. It was Hamza again. How pleased have you been with him and how he's come into this team recently?
Yeah, it's incredible how he made his adaptation without understanding one word of English. I think it helps that we have a few people in the club who can speak French, like a few players, for myself also, that I can go into detail with him in French. But yeah, he's a bright light, what we hoped he would be. Buying him because we saw the potential, but you can never know from a human being how fast they adapt to a totally different culture, lifestyle, kind of football at a higher level. But he's taking really, really good steps, and he's been important for the team last couple of weeks. So that's a positive thing.
Danilo's goal too. We talk a lot about the well-worked goals, but that was him just being alert to that opportunity. And how important is that as well to be there in those moments?
Yeah, also the intelligence to listen to the meetings and to know where we can find opportunities and to do it on the pitch. So Danny showed his intelligence there and his hunger and desire to score goals. He comes out of a really difficult period the last 11 months, and very happy that he scored last game, he scores now. It will help a lot with his confidence.
And Tav too, of course, coming up with that late win again, and another great finish from him.
Yeah, that's an amazing technical kick. So that's top class to score in that way. And it's important in these kind of games also to score this third goal to kill the belief with the opponent. So we were pushing for that in the second half. They had a few good saves. We had a few good attacks. So it's important that moment, okay, you kill the belief here, and that was important that Tav could make this goal.
Focus now turns to a huge night on Thursday, of course. You must feel your squad are in a good place heading into that one now.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very interesting game to play. So with this squad, we didn't play yet against a team of that level. That's really top in Europe to play against. So it's really interesting to see how far we can get in this moment in time, because that's a good thing. You see it also in the enthusiasm of the fans. Everybody feels this is not the end of a team. This is just the start of a team who will become better and better with the more experience they get together. So I'm really excited to see what that gives on Thursday.
Clement a happy man, Martin a happy man. You can't get much better than that. Aaron, he mentioned Igamane there. He was asked about Igamane, and again, so impressive. And I don't want to do that thing that we do when we see somebody who comes in and is impressive and we go over the score. But, man, the boys' confidence levels are through the roof.
He brings in exactly what we need. I've said it on previous podcasts that we need someone agile, someone that can create their own opportunities. And his first goal he hits it first time. Doesn't even think about a second touch. He doesn't think anything else. He's got one thought in his mind, and that's where's the goal? And he just hits it. I think that's one of the first interviews by Clement that I can actually agree with and see that he's been truthful. And you touched on it there. We can't get too carried away with Igamane, because what if he gets injured? That's in the back of my mind a wee bit. Obviously, Danilo's. Well, I know, touch wood, but it's Rangers we're talking about, and Danilo is still in good enough form. I don't see any problems with that. But yeah, what a signing! What a player he is, Igamane, and it shows you. Full credit to him. He's not scared of any occasion. He always comes up, gives us 100%, and that's what we expect of any Rangers player, is to give 100%, and he certainly does that from start to finish.
I mean, Tunnocks has got it spot on, Connor. His variety of play is just fantastic. He's not just a poacher. He's not just a creator. He's good with the ball at his feet. He's a nuisance for defenders, as Ian Dillon says there. He's an absolute nuisance. He's so good in the air for a guy who's quite small. He looks as though, if he keeps progressing the way that he is, and nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, but he's the full package.
He certainly does, aye. And I don't know why, but I've just got the sudden craving for a tea cake.
I always crave tea cakes.
But no, yes. And the thing is, we've seen, even before he started adding goals, we've seen those bits of promise in him. We've seen some of the moments. I think some of the criticism early on was his tendency to drift out wide a bit too often. But, he's always somebody that when he's come on the park, he's always done something that gets you sort of on the edge of your seat, and you go, oh, he's in here. This could be and I like that. I like that in a player. And he's adding goals now to his game, which is great. I mean, I seen him in person against Dundee in the quarterfinal of the cup, and he had a number of real good chances in that game and didn't quite take them. A couple that just went wide of the post, but you felt it was coming. You felt it just a bit more time that it would get there. Even going back to his first appearance against Dundee United, I've said this before, he should have had an assist in that game because he played a terrific ball to Tom Lawrence. So he's got a bit of that in his work. He's a nuisance. He can certainly strike a ball. And
I don't even know if that first goal does that take a deflection.
It's a very minimal deflection. Because see, to be honest with you, I thought at first viewing, it took a massive deflection the way it looked up. But when you see it back in the replay, it's a very, very light deflection. The county defender, I can't remember his name, has got his leg out, but it just takes a slight flick off his leg. But it's not as big a deflection that you think. So it is just really a good finish. Yeah, it's slightly aided by a slight deflection, but no, it's brilliant for him. And again, this is something. This is one of the things I like about him as well, because I think he's bringing into other players that have a shot. See if that bit of space opens up in the edge of the box, have a shot. Because, too often this season I felt we've been trying to pass a ball in and into the net rather than just have a dig. And if you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the raffle at the end of the day. So you just got to do it. Tierney could have done that today. He got sent in down the wide side and tries to cut back on his right instead of just having a shot and letting the chips fall where they will. And I think that's something I like about Igamane. He's not afraid to do that.
No, he's really not. And Aaron, I don't know what it is about Dingwall and goalkeeping mistakes. I seem to remember a few years ago, Morelos nips in the back. Was it Fox, the goalie's name, I think? And taps it in. I don't know what Hamilton's doing with regards to when Danilo's closing them down. But again, fantastic from Danilo and a great wee finish, by the way.
I think the thing is, nobody's expecting us to have a striker chase balls down. They've come to we're complacent with that. Dessers didn't do that. So whether Don Cowie set the team up to not expect pressure like that, I don't know. But it's fantastic follow through by Danilo. It just shows what he wants, and that's passion. He wants that ball. The minute he gets it, he's still got a lot of work to do because the keeper is, if you look back at the replay, the keeper does nearly get back there, but Danilo's composure to just slot it in, he's got all the work to do there, in my opinion. Yes, it was a goalkeeper error, but he's still got a lot of work to do to get that ball in the back of the net, and he does it.
And Gallant's saying it in the comments here, Connor. He's so sharp, and he's not fully fit yet, Connor, but he's so sharp, and he's much sharper than Dessers.
Much sharper than Dessers, aye. Listen, without wishing to be jumping on Dessers' back, I don't think, and I think you would probably be, I'm not convinced that's the type of goal Dessers would score, because he wouldn't be pressing the way that Danilo did there. Dessers has been in those positions a few times where a keeper's got the ball and he doesn't press him, whereas Danilo's going, no, I'm going to pressure, I'm going to put you under pressure, let's see what you're about. And you've got to do that, but particularly when you know that this isn't County's first choice goalkeeper either. This is their second choice keeper. And listen, no anything against him. I thought he actually did make a couple of decent saves the day that kept County in it, particularly in the first half. So fair play to him in that aspect. But you've got to just gamble there, and he does that well. And see, to be fair, yes, the keeper makes a mistake, Danilo capitalises, but actually by the time he's finished it, he's ended up at a wee bit of an angle, so it's a really good finish as well that he's put on the end of it. Because you could have, dare I say it, you could have seen somebody like Dessers hit the post with it. You know what I mean? So it's he's done really, really well. And I'm glad for him. See, these wee goals he's scoring, even in the Kilmarnock game as well, just tapping it in for a couple of yards out with a good cross that's come into him. These are proper old-fashioned strikers goals. Just be in the right area when that ball falls to you and put it in the back of the net. And that's exactly what he did. As I say, the one on Wednesday against Kilmarnock was sort of, dare I say it, Boyd-esque in terms of just being inside that 6-yard box to tap it home. And that one again there, all about his determination to get on the end of it. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from him, and he's looking a hell of a lot fitter than he did when he made his couple of cameo appearances earlier in the season, where you could tell he was still clearly carrying some sort of a knock, despite the fact that Clement, I think, was trying to tell us that's just how Danilo walked. I'm liking what I've seen for him as well. And why break up a winning partnership? So far, so good.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the Alchemist, with a super chat, thank you very, very much for helping to support independent media. So thank you very, very much. Every time Igamane touched the ball, it seemed like he nutmegged someone, Aaron. And we did speak about it, but I'm happy to go back. I'll speak about Igamane for an hour. It doesn't bother me. He's just in tight spaces as well. It's not just that. For a young boy who's a striker, his vision's really good and all.
Yeah, he's got a great understanding of who's around him and when And I think that's credit to playing people like Haji. They've got a great connection as well. And I keep going back to Haji because, you know, I've always thought Haji was amazing from the minute he came into the club. I'm not so happy the way the club dealt with him, but never mind, he's back now and he's showing why he deserves to be in the team. Igamane, yeah, he gets the ball at his feet and he's already away. You know, I mean, he doesn't think. I don't know how he has time to think. He doesn't stop even for a second to say, where am I going to put this ball or where am I going to go? He just automatically does it, and that's vision. And for him, like you touched on it, Martin, for him to be so young and have that ability already, you know, that's an ability that strikers 30 plus don't even have. So he's definitely one to watch, and I'm very excited by him. And, you know, I know we'll probably touch on Tierney later, but him having an off day a couple of weeks ago, that would have cost us a game. But the players that we have now made him, you know, we're just kind of like, oh, he had an off day. You know what I mean? So that's the ability that some of these players have that Clement's put his trust in now, and he's getting it back from them. And Danilo's celebration, by the way, absolutely phenomenal. That, like, going back to passion, he loved it, and I'm so happy to see him. I'm so happy to see him on the score sheet again.
Do you know what? That's actually, and by the way, Alchemist, thank you very, very much for your super chat. Thank you for helping to support the pod. And if you want to help support the pod further, you can just simply subscribe. Subscribe and like and share and watch the shows for as long as possible, because watch hours apparently is a big thing for keeping the sharing the pods. I don't really know how YouTube works. I've only been on it for 4 years, so I don't really know how it works. But of course, if you want to help out more as well and get access to loads and loads of extra content, then you can join as a member today. Links in the description for either Patreon or the YouTube memberships. It just depends on whatever delivery method that you prefer. But that was an excellent point for Aaron. So Aaron gets a wee gold star corner. Tierney wasn't at it today. I don't think he was necessarily poor. He just wasn't at it. And as Aaron points out, Connor, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, if one player in our team's not at it in the attacking sense, Tierney, Bayrami, Dessers, whoever, then we don't score.
No, that's true. That's true. That's the way it's been in recent times until we've changed it up a bit there. And yeah, listen, I think with Tierney, as I said earlier, you know, for some reason, and I think the point was made in the comments as well, he seemed so determined to keep that ball on his right foot. You know, he kept wanting to cut in the right, and you see sometimes, and I get it. Listen, weaker footing on it, I do understand that with the left side, but when you're getting into positions, you know, like when Taft plays him in out on the right, he's not going to. You don't have time to try and cut in, and I'll take it past the goalkeeper. And he'd already tried to do that once before, and it didn't quite work. So why not in those scenarios just have a shot? That's the. And it surprises me because he's not someone who I would have said has been shy of having an effort in these positions before. So just one of those games for him. But listen, you know, the rest of the team were there and stepped up, and when you're not so reliant on, you know, everything having to, you know, Dessers having to do everything or having Diamande having to step in, then at least that helps, and you can afford that because listen, players are human beings, they're no robots. You're going to have the odd bad day at the office, and sometimes you need the rest of your teammates to just kind of pull your chestnuts out of the fire a wee bit and help you out, and that's what we've seen today. Whether that means we see a change on Thursday, whether he comes out and somebody else comes in, maybe Sterling, who did come on, who knows? But you know, as I say, the rest of the team certainly helped him out.
You know, I think now that I'm thinking about it, I could be completely wrong. I usually am. I think Thursday's actually going to be massive in terms of keeping that consistency and that confidence going. Just to divert a wee tiny bit, Aaron, because I've got a super chat for Kevin and I've got some comments about the game as well. But just to divert slightly quickly, and I don't want this to sound negative, but if we take a spanking on Thursday against a team who, let's face it, one of their players probably costs more than our entire squad, then it's not great going into that League Cup final. Whereas the last 3 games that we've had, it's starting to build confidence, it's starting to build momentum. So we really do need a performance on Thursday.
Yeah, you touched on it there. We need a good performance. You know, we're not. expecting a great result or a fantastic result, like 4-0, 5, what we've been used to in the last few weeks. Not even saying that sentence at the beginning of the season, I didn't think I would be able to say it, but we are showing great performances, we're showing consistency, and I think that's the big thing here is consistency. So just a good performance, nothing less, and even if we can get out of it and win 1-0, win 2-1, lose 1-0, we've just got to keep consistent and confidence high, really.
100%, 100%. The Alchemist has now become a member as well, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do you know how I know? Do you know how I knew straight away that was Alchemist, right? Because if you're not, it's not evident because of the numbers in there. It puts you off. I've started watching The Blacklist again, and the most recent episode I watched of The Blacklist, the baddie in it was The Alchemist. So,
there you go.
So these things happen for a reason. I'm sure of
Is
that.
Is that your way of telling us that you are in fact the Alchemist?
No, because I'm not that clever. I'm really not that clever. I failed chemistry, so I've no choice. Do you know when you're picking? Well, we're going off on a tangent here, folks, right? When you're in, is it second year, and then you pick your subjects for third and fourth year, and you don't actually realise just how crucial it is that you pick the right subjects. Well, I went like that with a pen, tick, 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 didn't care, tick, and I picked chemistry. What a mistake that was. Chemistry is solid. I don't know why I went off on a tangent there, but that's kind of the show's called the Rabble, so I suppose that's kind of why that happens. Kevin with a super chat. Thank you very much, Kevin, for the support, my friend. Also a channel member as well. Aaron, credit to Clement. Now, see when you've spent the best part of 3 or 4 weeks absolutely bashing the manager and saying that, his time's up, he should have left after the Aberdeen result, and then we get the Dundee United result and we're all not happy. I feel a kind of duty to say that, albeit my decision or my thoughts and feelings on the situation still haven't changed, because we have 2 massive games coming up, and I know for a fact that if we don't get a positive result on Sunday, then we'll all be sitting on here and we'll all be raging and we'll be saying what we're saying. But up until now, the last 3-4 games, yeah, we have to give massive credit to the manager.
We do. I very much see it as if he didn't make a change, his job was gone, even more so than we thought, a few weeks ago. It's a bit of a fluke, and it's a good thing. It's a good fluke that he's found these players and decided to play them. He had no other option. He really didn't have any other option. We could not sit here and continue watching Dessers up front, Diomande number 10. It just didn't work proper. All this things that we've been so used to watching over the last few months, we couldn't continue with that. So he's taken a risk, and full credit, even as the substitutions, they've been okay. I'm a bit questionable with Dowell, but I'm sure we'll come to him.
But when you're in the lead and the game's done, then it would be so easy for Clement to say, right, Dowell, you're finished. But like us, like we're supporters, so we are very probably much quicker to judge than a manager or scouts or coach or whatever. So when you're up, when you're leading a game, you're winning, and it's comfortable. They players that you maybe think, you know what, they don't have a future here, but I'm going to give them their opportunity. And to me, I don't see an issue with that.
So I would have had Rice in there. If Clement was all about bringing in youth and bringing up youth through the ranks and all that when he first came, it was in one of his first ever press conferences. He was dead set on the youth side of things and bringing in youth players. So for me, but as you say, I'm just a fan. I would have had Rice there. I'm putting on Rice when you're 3-0 up. I'm putting on these young players when you're 3-0 up. That's the opportunity, and then that's the time you put them on, really. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I'll pull a Martin line. I might be wrong, but that's just my opinion.
No, the Martin line would be, I'm definitely wrong. That's 100% the Martin line. James Cameron, massive super chat. Thank you very much, James. For the Rabble night out in Oswald's, make sure you get a drink on me, Martin, buddy. Well, the Rabble night out in Oswald's is new to me. I will find out the situation, James, and I will absolutely for the Rabble night out have a drink on you. And if you're there, I'll buy you one as well. Because I'm just that kind of guy.
See one thing, Martin. See, talking about the team.
I thought you were going to talk about Oswald.
So when Clement was going on about the rebuild and that, it's really only Igamane that's fresh to this. You know, the rest of the players we pretty much had, apart from Gifty and Barron. So how much of a rebuild did he actually have? What did he envision? Because he can't have envisioned the team that he's been playing the last few games if he wanted to rebuild, because they were already there. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that, but at the same time, you know, I'm loath to criticise Connor when we've seen what we've seen in the past, when we've seen the real poor performances, and we've seen us struggle to win 1-0 against Dross, and you know we've lost up at Dundee, we've lost up at Dingwall, we've scraped 1-0 wins at home. When it's going decently, what would you rather do? Would you rather sit here, Connor, and say, "Yep, okay, the last 3 games have been decent, manager subs, whatever, but we're going to get pumped on Sunday, so do you know what? It doesn't matter."
Well, aye. Yeah, that is true. But
I've left Connor deep in thought. Did you see that?
the thing is, I'm loath to be overly critical right now, of course, because results have been great, and as I said, you've got to take these games as they come. But I'm also not going to just fully jump on board the other way either. I still feel that there's improvements required. I still think that clearly, you know, whatever these results are just now, there's no denying that if we cannot beat Celtic, that's a problem. That's a major
Of course
problem.
it is. But that's a problem that we do. That's a problem that we deal with on Sunday, Connor.
It is a problem we deal with on Sunday. Yeah, you can't be negative the day because of what might happen next week. Of course, I get that. But equally, you also can't go over the top either and think that's you know, we're going to go and scalp them on Sunday. You know, you've got to be careful. It's just about finding that balance. And to be fair, I think we've struck that balance quite well over the last couple of weeks. You know, I don't think we've got too high or too low. You know, I think we are striking a fair balance on it. Next week will take care of itself. Before you even get to Hampden Park, we've got to deal with the small matter of Spurs coming to Ibrox, and that's not going to be easy. I mean, the thing with Spurs is that's actually one of those games where I feel for common, because I don't know how you prepare for a team like Spurs, because Spurs don't even know what they're going to do week in, week out. So how on earth can we possibly know what Spurs are going to turn up and do? All we can do is make sure that we prepare for ourselves and go on the assumption that knowing Ange Ball, as they call it, which is just attack football, but Ange Ball, knowing what that brand and style is, we have to prepare for that and know that the chances are they're going to want to come out and be aggressive and be on the front foot and attack us early and come at us, and we're going to have to potentially weather a bit of a storm. But if we can weather that storm and we can stand up to that challenge, you will get chances against Spurs. Let me tell you now, Spurs defensively are quite fragile at times. You know, they can be got at, even by us, and so that's where we have to take heart. And I think if
You
you've
said
got
that in a
Danilo,
kind of depressing, even by us.
no, I don't mean it like that. I mean in terms of obviously they're used to playing Premier League opposition.
Yeah, I get it.
We're not there, you know, but we can certainly get at them. And when you've got Igamane and Danilo in good form and scoring goals just now as they are, and you've got Tav adding to that, and you've got others who are contributing and playing well, you know, there's every chance we can get a result. I don't actually, to be honest, I don't fear Spurs. I said this before. I felt that on one hand, the two worst English teams you could have drawn were Spurs and Man United, because their inconsistencies are unbelievable when you don't know what you're going to get when you play them. But on the other hand, that's also a reason why you feel, particularly at Ibrox, we can get something, because they're capable of turning up and being absolutely rank rotten. To be perfectly honest with you, so if they do that, we will take advantage of that. I fully believe that, but you know, we have to turn up and be at our best as well.
And also, he's under a lot of pressure, apparently, if you listen to media sources. So,
Yeah.
but listen, we're not here to talk about Spurs yet. I'll ignore that until I have to talk about it, because, yeah. On a negative, Aaron, I suppose, in a way, it only happened once in the game. But Andrew Butland's scary with the pass backs as well. That's quite a few times now we've seen Jack. Listen, he made a couple of good saves, actually. He made one really good save in the game. But with the ball at his feet, it's scary.
It is, but I think he's used to panicking because he's usually got Proper and Suter in front of him, and we know Proper just can't. He'll just pass it to Suter. Suter will pass it back, and they'll just try and get rid of it as fast as they can. But he's got to adapt and realise what Balogun's capable of doing. He's a whole different player in front of him. There was barely any passes round the back today. There wasn't the usual 300 touches that Suter and Proper have in a game. There was consistency. And Butland, he's a good keeper. It goes without saying, but I think he just panics. He's still trying to get through that panicking phase when he gets the ball. Where's it going to go? Who am I going to put it to? Who am I going to trust with it? I think there's the big question with the goalie. And, at the end of the day, I'm hoping, I hope it'll come. He's got the experience enough that I hope that he gets consistent too with what's in front of him.
And by the way, fair play to the Ross County defender. He gets smashed in the face by Giannis.
Yeah.
And Connor, I thought the boy was gone. I thought he was knocked out. I thought that was a case of, right, you need to go to your bed, you'll wake up in a couple of days, but you get back up, fair play to him.
Yeah, he did. I was with you. I thought genuinely, I thought that was him. I thought he was sparked, and that was that. But he seemed to manage to dust himself off it and shake it off, and fair play. Fair play to him. I do sometimes wonder if, and it's a topic of conversation for another day, but I do sometimes wonder if our protocols in terms of these head knocks are as stringent as they maybe should be up here. But because, listen, if you ask players are always going to want to play on it. To be fair, he did, and he was fine. But that was a hell of a knock. Was that's for sure.
And Haji did look concerned, and that's a good segue, Connor, to talk about the man himself. I can't sit here and say a single thing negative about Giannis Haji, Connor, in his performances. He's been excellent. And is it a coincidence that he's come back into the team and we're playing better football?
I don't think so. No, I think he adds a bit of additional quality to the team. And it leaves you wondering why we took so long to get this guy in the squad. At the end of the day, he was being wasted playing B team games, and I know there was the issue with the wage bonuses and stuff, but we could have negotiated that sooner. I mean, anybody who watched him play for Romania in the Euros could have told you he was in decent form during that tournament as well, and he played some good stuff for Romania, albeit he was wearing a dinner lady's hat for some reason with that net he had on. So I'm glad he stopped wearing that. But in all seriousness, he has been brilliant since he's come in. And the thing with Haji is, look, you know what you're going to get with Haji. How many times? Let's be honest here, right? Through the time, even when he was having a rough patch before he dropped out the team and got injury problems and all the rest of it, even then, I wouldn't have pointed to him and said he was the worst player in the park every single game. In that period, he wasn't. He still tries. He tries things sometimes that doesn't pay off, and that can be frustrating. But he's got a bit of quality in that locker he has, and I just think he's been a breath of fresh air into the team. It's almost like been having like a new player come back in again because of how long he was away for. And you could argue the same, of course, about Danilo as well. So, yeah, I'm delighted for him. I'm hoping that we can maybe, see this form continue and then get to the summer. We maybe offer him a year's extension in his contract or what have you. And I'd be quite happy with that. But I tell you what, even if we don't do that, and even if we get to that point and it's like, well, maybe he's going to go, what we have done is these performances keep going as his value is now increasing. He's increasing in value for a player that would have walked out the door for free to somebody that, if we get it right from the business point of view and we get it right from the contract point of view, I think we can do well on. And I think he's proven that, and I'm glad for him. He's been determined to play, and that's so pivotal. I've said this a couple of weeks. In fact, the other week there, Giannis Haji took a wage cut so he could play for us again. That's how much he wanted to play and be involved in the first team. And I don't think he got enough credit for that at the time, but he's starting to show it now. And he deserves all the plaudits he's getting.
Yeah, and channel member Ian with a super chat. Thank you very much, Ian. Always liked Haji. Agree with Connor. Don't do that too much though, Ian, because Connor's head will just go woo, and he won't be able to get out his front door. So, could everybody please stop agreeing with Connor? Thank you very much. Even if you agree with him, just put in he's wrong in the comments.
Yeah, can you just quickly point out as well, because there's a couple of people saying it, and you are quite right. Haji is out of contract, and it's the point I was making is that if we get the business end of it right in terms of that contract and getting an extension, whether it's a year extension, whether it's an additional 6 months, whatever it is, then we can capitalise on that. But this is now down to Niels Coppin and his department to make sure we get that right and we don't repeat the mistakes that we've seen made, particularly during the Ross Wilson era, too often.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you very much, Ian, for the support, my friend. Connor will be talking about the fact that you're agreeing with him for the rest of the night. So there we go. Just finishing up then, Aaron, and because look, we could talk Raskin, we could talk Barron, we could talk Balogun, we could talk Suter, we could talk Jeffy, we could even talk about Bayrami. There's loads to talk about, right? Hunters, but we just don't have the time. So I want to finish on the captain. I want to finish on Tav. I thought he played really well today. He looked fresh, and that's a typical Tav finish.
Yeah, fantastic finish. I just love the fact he's back in the goals. You know, he's ridden the storm. You know, there was a big storm. He watches social media. You know, and for him to ride the storm and come back and give performances like that, and I think you touched on it earlier, Martin. I think him being benched and watching how well Sterling was doing. You know, if I was Tav sitting on the bench, I would have been quite concerned. But he's got an opportunity now to come back into the team, and he's now fighting for that position, which he should be. You know, captain or not, and you're seeing the results. Again, it's frustrating because if that's what he can bring, why has he not been bringing it? You know, but only he knows that. So, but you know, nothing but good things to say about him. Consistent all the way through the game, even defensively, he was consistent today. So it's good to see. Promising.
Different conversation, Connor, when it comes to being defensively consistent against Celtic. And I take all the points people are making. I 100% take their points. And believe me, that is something that we will discuss on probably all the afternoon Rabbles next week. And we'll discuss it on the members' shows, and it will be discussed. I've said discussed far too many times, Connor. But just on today's performance, today's goal, fair play to have.
Yeah, absolutely fair play to him. And I'm just going to bring up Snyder's one because I agree with it. I think that's been part of it. I think he did. I genuinely think he needed a rest. Oh, you'll get that brought up twice. But he did need a rest there. And he got that. And that helps as well. I said this earlier in the campaign that when his form was dipping, but he was playing every week. And I said that you cannot ask a 33-year-old right back to play 90 minutes every single game, every single week. It's not feasible. And I know Tav says he feels as fit as ever, and I understand that. That's football players. So yeah, a football player is never going to tell you he doesn't want to play football. That's just, you're not going to get that out of him. And so that's down to the manager. God, I hate that. In fact, I'm going to use the classic Clement phrase, but to manage the minutes a bit better there. That's not by all players, but certainly with somebody like Tav. And I think he's done that well. I think having good options as well that you can bring in, like Casa before he got injured, and then even Sterling after Casa's injury, and Sterling's still there as an option, so you can rotate it. I think that's what Tav's needed all along, is just having that. Yes, different gravy when he comes up against Celtic. There's no mistake in that. We've seen how difficult he's found it, particularly when he's been going head to head with Daisen Maeda, which you imagine he will be again on Sunday.
Not necessarily.
But to be fair, what I would say, and I'm hoping will be different, in the last couple of games, or this game in particular, the one thing I would say, not necessarily in his defence, but slightly in his defence, he also didn't have any help either for Czerny on the right-hand side that day. He had nothing helping him. And that's what he needs as well. He needs somebody there that can help him. I think back to the Malmo game, I think it's an example where, yeah, he was having some struggles, but Mo Diamonde was superb in that game and was covering him all day long and making sure he had that backup. That's what you need to give him. If you give him that, then we'll be in a bit of a better position. And then, yeah, we know the quality he's got to go forward. 128 goals for this football club is extraordinary for a right back, and I think that's 302 goal involvements as well, over the piece between goals, assists, and all that sort of stuff. So you've got to give him credit where it's due. But as I say, we need to make sure we've got cover and we've got help for him come the game against Celtic, because Maeda will be an absolute nightmare for him.
If he was going to start, and we don't know, if he was going to start Tav on Sunday, then he can't start him on Thursday. So
I agree. Yeah,
for me. So if Tav starts on Thursday, I would expect Stelling, if he's fit, to start on the Sunday, or vice versa. But Jim Sloan with a super chat, channel member, legendary channel member Jim Sloan. Follow, lads. Have a great Sunday. We will, Jim. Hope you do as well. Hope everybody watching goes on to have a great Sunday, and you can go into work tomorrow with a bit more of a smile on your face. Connor, thank you very much for joining me.
aye. Always nice to jump on when it's a good day and a good win. So long
Just
may that
because
continue.
somebody agreed with you, right? We get it. Somebody agreed with your point. Aaron, thank you very much, buddy.
It's good to be on a reaction show after a win for a change. So
No, it's good, isn't it? It's quite
nice.
fun. It's actually easier to navigate and talk as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah. Thank you to everybody who put in a super chat today, everybody who liked, everybody who subscribed, all our members, everybody watching, everybody back on the audio downloads as well. Thank you so much for making the Rangers Rabble what it is. So we are back tonight, Connor?
No.
No.
I said
I'm just
there's
double checking.
There's no Scottish football show tonight, no. But
Right.
you know, so probably not. But then again, you never know. Martin might put out the dog whistle and they might put something out. We'll see what happens.
We shall see. I'm in a good mood, so we shall see. I'm feeling that, but we are back tomorrow, 12:30, for your afternoon rabble. Back tomorrow night for the Monday night rabble, and then the members show tomorrow night at 9:30 is the EFL show. So I hope you enjoy all the content that we offer, and we'll speak to you all very, very soon.